Last week, I mentioned a mall, a shopping area near here. And my wife was, gosh, when was this? Probably 2010, 2011. She was over there with some friends at Ridgemar Mall, which used to be a nicer area, but
Right.
it's run down pretty much now. And back in that time, our kids were small. So John Asher was 3 or 4. Parker was, well, let's say Parker was around. So it had to be like 2014. So he was a couple years old. John Asher was 5 or 6. And they were over there just having some lunch over at and playing in the playground over at Ridgemar. And they were sitting there at the Chick-fil-A in the food court. And then my wife was watching, I think, 5 or 6 kids there at this table. The other 2 moms went to go use the bathroom or something. And all of a sudden, she felt somebody come behind her. And so she kind of looked behind her, and there's a lady standing there. And then there's a guy standing over to the left of her. And this guy was trying to distract her. And this lady standing behind her and she knew this was going on. And they asked her a question like, I can't remember, something benign, right? Trying to get her attention.
Right.
And my wife said, no, I don't have time for that right now. Because she had 6 kids, right? All these kids were like 5, 6, 7 years old and under, right?
Wow.
And, but I think these people, this mall is known as a child trafficking spot in Fort Worth. I didn't know if you know that or not, but
Only because of your podcast.
yeah.
Last time.
And I don't know if it's still known for that, but it's been a hot spot for a while. And so anyway, my wife said, no, I don't need you. I don't have time for you right now, or something like that. Well, the guy continues to ask, and my wife said, I told you no, I don't have time for that right now. She can feel this other person behind her kind of getting closer. And then the guy gets closer, takes another step towards her, and tries to ask another question. And my wife stood up and she said, no, get away from me. I don't have time for that, I said.
Yeah.
And about that time, the other 2 moms came, right? And she, in her gut feeling, her womanly instinct, right,
Yeah.
knew that they were trying to distract her to try to grab one of these kids. And I was like, that is insane,
Yeah.
right? And then this is like close to home,
Yeah.
right?
It's a horrible
And
feeling.
It's a horrible feeling. And so, I'll say all that to say, and I feel like I keep going back to this in this podcast, but protect yourself. Know how to do something. It didn't matter if you're carrying a gun or if you're carrying a knife or whatever. You got to know how to protect yourself against these crazy people that are out there.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, just because you have that, you need to train with that
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
right?
You can't just carry a gun
Yeah.
and have that false sense of protection, because
Yeah.
you need to know how to use it and use it under stress
Yeah.
and pressure, just like, in jiu-jitsu. If watch a YouTube video on how to do an arm bar, but you've never repped it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned that firsthand. I can watch YouTube all day, and then I'll even watch, Donnie or someone, rep it right in front of me. And then when I'm doing the motion, it feels way different. But, it's the same with firearms, knives, whatever.
Yeah.
You need to really do that. And, luckily I've been able to train a lot with firearms through the opportunity for being involved in the safety and security team in my church. So
Yeah.
they've put us through some phenomenal training, opened the doors to relationships with people that, do it for a living and at a really high level. So I've kind of learned through being put through some of that training, because I did carry for a while, 2, 3, 4 years, probably before
Yeah.
I got more formalized training in it.
Yeah.
And it does kind of give you that false sense of protection. You just, in your mind, think you can just pop it off and, use it as needed. And
Yeah.
it's just not the case. Like if you've never,
Yeah.
been in like a force on force situation
Yeah.
and, had fire coming back at you, and you think you'll do one thing and then you freeze, or, it's just all
Yeah.
those scenarios you never even really think of. But, whatever it is,
Yeah.
I would, if it's a knife, a baton, pepper spray, even
Yeah.
any less lethal or more lethal things. But I love like what they teach a lot in karate to the kids. Obviously you want to avoid anything happening altogether.
Yeah.
If you can get away. But the second they put hands on you,
Yep.
it's a game changer.
That's right.
And I think that's an incredible thing. And being vocal, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen Landon do it several times.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, come up here and throw a punch at me. And then right before the kid, kind of rears back and is ready, he screams, stop, or, and it's like, the kid just kind of freezes. But
Yeah.
I mean, instilling that in a child at such a young age, I mean,
Yep.
getting vocal and everything, some of us do it naturally, but others don't think of that. So,
Sure.
Little pieces of like that, like you said, your wife did. I mean, she
Yeah.
got very vocal, clear,
Yeah.
and, that brings up tension,
Yeah.
and other people. And that's also another level of thinking outside the box and getting other people to look, because people want to look for that soft target.
Yeah.
And, usually I mean, there's those seldom cases where they don't
Yeah.
really care. They're going to do something evil, but you know, a lot of times they're looking for something easy. They're not
Yeah.
really looking for a fight. So bringing attention to yourself, or having something, even presenting some form of a weapon, or getting in a stance and being
Yeah.
confident, looking at them in the eye and exerting some sort of dominance, I think people will back off.
Yeah,
So, and that
absolutely.
sounds like exactly what your wife did, and that's
Yeah,
incredible.
and she's a what do you call a traditional Southern lady, right?
Right.
And I'm sure she was dressed like a Southern lady and had her pearls on and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, she's got 6 kids, and you got 6 kids that you're watching, and you look like you're vulnerable, right? Because, you know, how can you watch 6 kids at the same time when they're all chit chatting and
Yeah,
yelling and screaming and throwing chicken nuggets at each other and all
yeah.
that kind of stuff? But her being aware of her situation and where she was at and what was going on, and know that person was behind her and this person was in front of her trying to divert her attention, and then her being able to use her voice, you know, to not only alert these people, leave me alone, but the people around her.
Right.
You know, that changes the whole situation. So, like you're saying, there's training has to be had, right? You can't just wing it. Sometimes, like, some people are just wired differently, but in most cases, you need to be.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt because I'm
Yeah.
and under stress you resort to your level of training. I mean, a million people have said that, and it's so true. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you have those moments and you think, you know, fight or flight kicks in,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, you may freeze when you thought you're just gonna be heroic and know exactly what to do, but sometimes the situation and it isn't exactly what you played out for it to go, and then you have to be able to adapt and
Yeah.
you know, make quick decisions and
Yeah.
be ready to reap the consequences if you make mistakes. You know, there's just
Yeah.
a lot to think about, and you know, I would say especially with, you know, firearms, you know, knowing
Yeah.
your target, what's beyond your target,
Yeah.
and all the kind of scenarios that, you know, you have a gun. If you decide to act, you know, people may not know your intentions, and I mean, there's just so many things to think about.
Yeah.